Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Game series and our Crazy Leela series. We are taking a look at some more games of Leela, playing odds chess against all comers on Lichess. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and going to keep on taking you through more and more of these games. I'm just spending the evenings whilst I'm doing other stuff, just looking out of the corner of my eye at all these games taking place, and it's just amazing what's happening. All the types of positions, that Leela is finding ideas into to keep it alive. Really quite incredible. So let's have a look how this game went. This is Leela White against strong player rated 25-25 and an IM. Playing quite well actually, but Leela somehow doing amazing things. So knight c3 from Leela. Quite a common move, often transposing into either e4 or d4 openings. So if c5 or e5, e4 from Leela, and if d5, then d4, and often bishop f4 or a move like queen d3. And we head back into the Jabava London system. So those are quite common openings. Not the only ones, though. I mean, Leela, this latest incarnation of Leela Knight Odds is really playing a huge variety of systems and openings, which kind of makes it quite tough to prepare against, I think. So knight f6 played by black here. E4 and then E5, bishop C4. We're back into just a normal type of E4, E5 opening, Vienna, but with a knight on G1 missing. So knight C6, castles, bishop C5, D3. Now, a pretty common structure for white here, for Leela. Puts a pawn on D3 and then tries and play F4. And sometimes the bishop is outside the pawn chain. Sometimes the bishop is inside the pawn chain with G3, bishop G2. See a lot of this as well in the against the Sicilian. So H6 from black. I saw that after D6, Leela played knight A4 a few times. Just looking for the bishop pair. It's one of those things that's a little bit counterintuitive. I'm starting to gather together examples of how Leela plays odds chess. And one of the things I have noticed is that there's often the exchange of a minor piece. Leela isn't avoiding all exchanges, which I hadn't really expected. Sometimes even two sets of minor pieces, but normally just one. The one thing that, of course, is not coming off is the queens, because Leela needs those to cause trouble. But one minor piece often happening. So H6 played by black. Black trying to keep it tight at the back, stopping the bishop coming to G5. There won't be any pin there. King H1 and then D6. Leela could play knight A4 here, but Leela played the move F4, which is, pretty aggressive, and basically what Leela wants to do as quickly as possible all the time. So black plays interesting idea here, bishop G4, queen E1 and queen E7. Really trying to keep this king flexible. Obviously, this player has played against Leela a vast amount of times and not scored very well. Not played badly at all, to be honest. I've seen quite a few games, but Leela is just unbelievable at making something of these sort of positions. But just trying to avoid an easy kingside attack for Leela, possibly looking to put the king on the queen side, but staying flexible for now. And Leela takes immediate action here and plays F5, just highlighting the position of this bishop that's now cut off from the rest of the black forces. So you can play H3 to try and win the bishop, but it's not so clear, right? Because black can play H5, and after HG is terrible with that open H file. Chances are that you probably won't be able to win this bishop. But it is a stress factor for black, of course, and it's certainly from a human psychological point of view. This sort of thing where you make a move and your opponent highlights a possible drawback to it straight away is very unpleasant to face. So Leela using some human psychology there. But black played castle queenside. Obviously wants to keep a rook on the H file to meet H3 with H5. And here Leela did something really very surprising to me and actually quite interesting, was played the move knight D5. And, well, there's quite a few sharp tactics involved in this. And the idea is not quite what you'd expect. So knight d5 after takes, and now took with the pawn on d5. And I was kind of surprised because, it weakens this f5 pawn somehow, and well, that's the basis for keeping this this bishop out of play, so why would you be doing that? And especially, after this move knight d4, well, black is forking c2 and f5. I mean, it's getting quite sharp, but I mean, the general idea I think that Leela has is Leela wants to get rid of a piece protecting the black king, and converting this e pawn into a d5 pawn, doubled, but chasing away the knight from c6. That's a good way of doing it, and that should actually enable white to get some sort of attack going against the black king. Without it, it's much more difficult. So I think that's the idea, but there's some pretty sharp tactics here because black's forking c2 and f5, but white plays c3. And the idea is if knight c2, then queen e4. And if you take on a1, I go queen g4. I'm threatening f6 check there, and that means that I'll be able to come back in time later, win that knight, and then I'm just exchanged down instead of a whole piece down. The engines still think that black is better, but okay. I mean, this has definitely helped, right? So so you might as well go for it. So after c3, black played knight takes f5, and here quite an interesting moment because Leela has sacrificed another pawn on top of the odds piece, and this is something I've seen an awful lot, really a lot, that Leela's not just leaving it with the sacrifice piece. Leela's definitely investing extra pawns quite often. Not every single game, but really very often, in order to create extra instability and extra chances for a win. And that's very much, how I think good odds players do that. Not afraid to sacrifice more, not desperately trying to hold on to what still remains, but doing some more with it. But yeah, it's quite. Was really impressed, with the way that Leela did this. The funny thing is that you might think that queen e4 is quite a strong idea, hitting the bishop on g4 and the knight on f5 as well. And you hit that one, you're threatening rook f5. You're going to get back the exchange somehow. Isn't that worth it? Well, I mean, I assume that there was something a little bit more to it, really, than that. But I can't say that I was that I got the refutation, which is absolutely amazing. So black goes knight g3, hg. Well, I sort of thought that might be part of it, but then follows up with the very difficult move f5. Now, if you go queen e1, we're going to go h5 to h4, and this attack is coming very fast. So, black is actually winning that one. But you might sort of say, well, why not rook f5? I mean, actually, I'm just going to hit that one. If you take, I take off. What could be wrong with that somehow? Okay, black might still be better, but, white's getting an awful lot of material back. But you might want to stop the video here and give yourself a little tactical puzzle, because I didn't spot this move. The move is queen g5, putting the queen en prise to two pieces, defending the bishop on g4 and also attacking the rook on f5. So, well, if you take, I just take off, and that's mate, because the rook's there and the bishop is covering here. Obviously, you can't stay still because I'm threatening to win this guy. And if you retreat, well, there's simply queen h5 checkmate. The rook's no longer covering the h5 square. So this move, queen g5, wins on the spot. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing, that one. So that's why Leela didn't play queen e4, but I don't think it was ever remotely Leela's idea. What Leela did was play the move b4 and then a4. And, well, you can see, you've sacrificed this pawn on f5. You've just completely abandoned trying to win this bishop on g4. It's just there for incidental tactics, really. And you're focusing on attacking the wing where the black king is. It's yeah, I mean it's Now it just shows. I mean, those sort of things, show to me, I think, how how brilliant the programming has been. To get an engine to think like that, because it's always been totally impossible to get engines to work out. Well, how do I keep the best chances for the win? How do I keep the position sharp and all that? It's win a piece down when essentially I'm completely lost. It's a really it's really fantastic. All very complicated maths, apparently, but yeah, brilliant to watch. The results are amazing. So a6 was played by black here. In actual fact, the engines always want the move a5 in such positions. They always want to stop a rook pawn as early as possible. And sometimes it's very human counterintuitive, but in actual fact, if you look at what happens, you sort of say, yeah, it was better to bite the bullet and take the weakness early rather than allow this to happen. Because h3 is thrown in by Leela, h5 and then b5, and yeah, I mean, I think you can see that you're going to make more damage basically, and have be able to involve more of your pieces in the attack when black stopped the a pawn with a6 rather than playing a5 straight away. It would have required another effort from white to get things moving then. But here we're going to we're getting to the crucial part of the game, and there's lots of stuff that's possible and totally non-obvious, basically. So black took a takes b5, and the engines are not very keen on that. And the reason for it is that, yeah, I mean, if white goes b takes a6 and a takes b7, and black plays king b8. It's quite tough to actually break through that. What you'd want to have the a file open, but we've got a pawn on a5 blocking it. Now after a takes b5, bishop takes b5, then when white goes a6 takes b7, that a pawn has been removed, and then the rook is getting into play. So actually, yeah, having giving away that extra pawn from black is a way of really keeping the position in front of the king covered. So yeah, that would really have been better just to leave that. And what Stockfish wanted actually was to play the move e4, which I hadn't seen coming. Just looking to break through the centre, and you can start opening stuff up and creating counter threats when you free there. Maybe the queen can come to e5 and help threaten knight g3 at some stage. And d4, which was what made me blink a little bit when I saw e4, because we're cutting out the bishop, but then e3, and yeah, the black pieces are ready to start moving in here. It's kind of worrying for black, and obviously b takes a6, a takes b7. If you're not worried about that at all with black, you just think king b8, everything's blocked by white's own pawns, no worries at all. Then yeah, it's just really really powerful there. Black played a takes b5. It's not fatal or anything like that, but his next move was, and it's actually the most natural move on the board somehow. So that's a little bit unfortunate, I have to say. The best move, according to the engines here, was the far from obvious queen h4. The idea being that after queen h4, knight h4, you can't take on here because there's a discovered attack that's just going to be too strong. So you can't actually take that bishop. So the engines were looking at there, bishop d7, ab, king b7, check, king b8. But yeah, I mean, this is just going to be really good for white somehow. You can block with the bishop on b6, and yeah, you've got the two. You've got your extra piece and everything. If bishop g5, we've got knight f5, and we're threatening knight g3. That's the reason that's decent. And black's going to be absolutely fine here. And all the engine games here were ending in wins for black. But black played a much more natural move. He played the move h4 here. I mean, after all, get that knight into g3 for the king. Make it look. Yeah, put some danger in white's area. But now the engines are saying, oh, this is just minus 0.39. No danger at all here now. And why is that? Well, the engines carry on with a6, knight g3, check, king h2. And yeah, after knight takes f1, which is what black played, queen takes f1. This is actually the crucial moment. I mean, black's only got one move to avoid losing. Actually, the engines didn't even want to take on f1 straight away, but you know, it is actually possible to do it. But the engines are saying actually that the only move that black has got is to play the move b6. And after h takes g4, they still see the position as okay for black. To be honest, it looks disgusting. I would have thought that white would have a clear advantage here with this bishop locked in and this king so weak. But the engines think that it's completely holdable for black. But that was the best move, and I don't think any human player would ever guess that, or even be able to contemplate playing a move like b6 somehow. Maybe in this position you could think about playing b6, keeping the knight on g3. At least you feel you've got some sort of attacking piece still in the mix. But yeah, in this position to want to play b6, I don't think I could ever bring myself to do that. Black played bishop d7, and now the engines say, completely lost now. Because you go a takes b5. If king takes b7, you've got this nice little move bishop e3, getting ready to play the queen over to b1, for example, and win there. So bishop takes b5, rook a7, king c8, queen b1 was the engine line, queen e8, queen a2, and well, basically the engines just think this is going to end up completely winning for white, because if you try and escape with king d7, you go check here and check, and bishop b6, threatening queen c7, and then the only move you've got is to give the queen away with queen e7, because obviously queen d7 allows queen a8 checkmate. So black played the human natural good lord, king b8, keep the b pawn as a shield, but of course, the a file is open, so that there's not really much hope here. And now bishop c6 was played. Funny little thing here, I guess the score must be right here, but after queen e8, Leela could have played queen f2 here to force mate in 2. Bishop takes f2 and rook a8 checkmate, and somehow didn't do it, which is a bit strange. Leela played bishop e3 instead, and bishop takes c6 was played, d takes c6, queen c6, rook a7, and black actually resigned in this position. I mean, white threatening queen b1 and rook a8 checkmate, for example. The best the engines found was queen takes b7, queen f7, which is obviously just completely winning. But strange that Leela didn't play that mate in 2 somehow. Makes me doubt my score somehow, but yeah, I mean, I think it must be correct. But there we are. That was a very nice game, I think. I was really impressed by that. In particular this, I mean, this is why, of course, this move knight d5 followed by this very intricately calculated c3. This is why Leela is so strong at odds chess. Leela can really calculate the very limits of what's possible and attainable, and use that calculation to generate possibilities for counterplay that a human player might just not see at all. But still, I mean, you remain a piece down, and you remain with an objectively lost position. But the things that that Leela manages to generate are incredible. And what's occurring to me an awful lot, more and more when seeing this, is how many of the moves that would be instant. That's got to be good, like h4 in this position, are turning out to be not good at all, basically, and it does make you think a little bit about, I consider that my intuition is pretty normal for a human player of my generation, then I guess, but I think that's, I don't think it's too different to something pretty normal for most players. And I see just how many of those moves that I think are, obviously the ones that you want to play in the position, are turning out to give away, large portions of your advantage. And it just makes you think a little bit, should just maybe try and work at intuition again, and work out what does the engine think is a good looking move in this position, and why don't I think that, and try and train yourself like that, because I think there's so much that to be done to improve your intuition, improve what you feel are good moves, because this is just leading you astray all the time. Of course, the fact then that after this position, the only move you could play is b6 as well. You have to give that bishop away. Incredible, really. But there we are. I hope you're enjoying this, and that you're enjoying just this completely different type of chess. Same rules, but from a crazy starting position, but delivering so much value, and interest, really. I think it's really amazing, and warmest congratulations to the programmers, because I think they've done something quite special and remarkable and unusual there, and not just making an engine stronger, which is fantastic, of course, but also doing something where you're looking at it and you're thinking, this could teach us something very deep and fundamental somehow. Just got to spend a bit of time thinking about it. So there we are. Thanks very much indeed for watching. I'm going to keep on going with those videos, and we've got lots more wonderful Mariotti games to come as well. So do keep your eyes peeled, and thanks very much for watching.